Oh, I am sitting here talking to myself for the last 15 minutes. I forgot to start the stream. Uh, nope, I'm here. Let me tell Isaac. Oh, that's embarrassing. So, now, let's try this again. I see the raid is coming any minute. Get to see if my new raid alert works, by the way. And yes, it does. Here comes the raid. Get ready. How we doing, everybody? And there go the breads and the tillers. I have to apologize to Isaac especially, but to all the rest of you. I have been sitting here talking into my microphone, wondering why Isaac was running over so long for about 15 minutes until Macaro came and gave me a poke and made me realize that I forgot to hit the start streaming button. So, how is everybody else this morning? I've been streaming to myself for the past 15 minutes. How is everyone else? Isaac, I apologize and thank you for, the only tech issue is sitting in the chair today. I literally had everything beautifully up and running. I'm all happy. I got my nice setup going. Everything's wonderful. I didn't hit the start streaming button. So, all the stories I've told lost forever. Fortunately, I was waiting because there was nobody here to talk to, so I didn't want to have to do everything twice. Okay, so now that everybody's here... Oh, I'm distorted again. Yeah, I might be. I switched stream managers again. Let's see if I can knock that down a little bit. How is it now? Is that better? That should be better. Is that better? Okay, good. This should be the last time, by the way. One of the things I had done when I loaded up the new machine, I switched from OBS Studio to Streamlabs OBS. But I found that Streamlabs OBS did not give me the same control over the audio channels that OBS Studio did. So I switched back, but that does mean, for what is now hopefully this last time, I'm going to need one last time to go through the levels and make sure they're right. The difference is that OBS Studio will actually remember the audio settings much better, and more importantly, gives me the ability to set them on different streams. So, for example, when I pop over to our Sprint screen, OBS Studio will automatically handle lowering my volume and raising the music volume, so that we can, so that we have that for sprints. So hopefully, like I said, this is the last time we have to play with it. Yeah, it looks like I'm just under the yellow now, so I should be okay. Like I said, we'll have to play a little bit with the other one. I'm probably okay with it where I set it. We'll find out shortly. So before we get started, a quick update. Quick update on Synergasia for those of you who are involved. I'm going to have to go in and tweak the wording a little bit on the We Need You article. A lot of people thought that September 7th, which was yesterday, was a hard deadline after which you could not join. That is not true. If you have not submitted an article yet but would like to or wish you had, please go ahead and do so. The reason for the September 7th date was just to give Kahuna and I a date on which we would start taking the people who had subscribed in by that point and start actually dishing them out onto the map, and start assigning the regions. We're starting to put together, Kahuna and I, a stream event on Thursday, September 10th, 2 days from now, during which we will announce the regions that have been allocated. If you have not yet submitted, like I said, but would like to, go ahead and submit. All it means at this point is, well, if you do it in the next couple of hours, it won't mean anything different at all. If you do, anybody that comes in after that, though, it just simply means that you'll get assigned a region based on there will be a bunch of regions already assigned, and we'll be now assigning people on a one-by-one basis where they fit best. All right, so we will have had to already make some decisions about how many regions are in each of our time tech zones. We have plenty of leftover, though. I'm not worried about it. I mean, unless we suddenly get like 15 people in next week that say I want to do Victorian horror. We should be okay, because I think, first of all, we can only take 25 as a max in the world. We have about 34 regions defined, so already we have a surplus. All right, right now we have 11 people subscribed, so there's plenty of room, and there will be plenty of regions available. So again, if you have not yet, and Coffee Quills, I'm not sure if you're out there, but if you are out there, it is not too late. Go ahead and get us in a submission. And in fact, all we really need as a placeholder right now is enough information to be able to place you time tech-wise. All right. So again, look at the call for a meta. It doesn't have to be a big glorious article. Again, we're not grading or rating or there's no contests involved here. So just get us in your basic needs, your basic geography needs, and your basic time and technology level, and that'll be enough for us to put you on the map. And once you're on the map, you work at your best pace. So, again, pass that word around also to anybody else that you hear. If you hear anybody come across saying, "Oh yeah, I wanted to do that, but I missed the deadline," tell them there's no deadline. All right, tell them to just come in. I'm gonna be tweaking the wording in the on the home page to make that clear as well, so that anybody that does come visit, won't see that September 7th date and think, "Oh, I missed it, I'm out." All right, nobody's out. All right, even if we end up with more latecomers than we can fit in the first world, we will build a second world, and we'll let it go from there. That would only be a great success as far as we're concerned. So that's what we have for Synergasia. Again, watch the Discords for announcements. An announcement tomorrow, hopefully, about what exactly we have planned for Thursday. At least I hope it's still planned for Thursday. Kahuna the Elder was a little under the weather this weekend. He seems to be okay. I will find out a little more today, probably once his Kahuna Quiet stream starts up. We'll see how he's doing and what he's been up to when he was in the shadows. I know he canceled his Sunday Kahuna reads because he was feeling a little off. He canceled Kahuna Quiet yesterday, but that's because it was a U.S. holiday and he didn't. First of all, he didn't need to be Kahuna Quiet because his wife wasn't teaching, and second of all, it was a holiday weekend, so I have no idea what kind of plans he had or whatever. So. But I have been communicating with him briefly on Discord. He hasn't indicated that there's anything seriously wrong, so that's, that's a good thing. So, like I said, we'll find out more today. So, Saturday we had a challenge bestowed upon us all, and that's what I want to focus on today. I'm sure everybody else is focusing on it. Did everybody notice that there seemed to be an uptick in streams? Even just on Sunday and yesterday, and everybody's back to doing sprints and talking about articles. We're getting a little of that summer camp hype fired back up, and that's a good thing. So, Isaac, looking forward to the stream event, except I'm pretty sure yeah, we don't know what time it's going to be. We'll have to kind of take a look at that. I'm guessing it'll be somewhere. I will probably host it because right now I think I have the better tech rig. Kahuna's can work floating on the edge of Twitch technology capabilities lately too, and I know what that's like. I love my new system, by the way. Everything has been working beautifully. So it'll probably be my host, but Kahuna will definitely be there. I mean, our intention is to dual broadcast, and we'll have to see what else we have, what else we have in the works for it, and how fun and exciting we can make it. So we'll see. We've been talking some good plans. Let's see what actually comes out of it. So anyway, on to the Alliance Challenge. I went over in my head for a couple days what exactly I wanted to do. I have been focusing most of my efforts in my RPG campaign setting world in a region of the world that is frontier wilderness forest kind of thing. Not very conducive to large alliances or even any kind of large organizations. There's really no organizations, much less alliances. So I knew right off the bat I was going to have to go outside my core region. So that was fine. Two ideas that had come to my mind right away had to do with, were related to articles that I had done in summer camp, and had to do with the nearest major city-state to the region that I've been concentrating on. That is the city. It's a city I call Enmir. It's on the coast. The city has existed for thousands of years. It used to be part of a great kingdom. 2,000 years ago, when the God War came, the kingdom basically retracted. It was near the frontier, near the borders of the kingdom at the time. The kingdom ended up retracting during the war, and it abandoned the city-state and its residents. The city-state was destroyed. This was my summer camp article on a settlement that was destroyed and then rebuilt. The rebuilding was directed by four major of the survivors, whose families ended up becoming the four ruling families of that city. Those four families, in all but management of the city, can't stand each other and are constantly plotting against each other and would like to wipe each other out and so forth. But they do have to get together, and they do manage to get together and work together where the good of the city is concerned. So that was actually my first thought, was the was essentially the alliance of those four families, and it would have been an interesting one because, like I said, there was an awful lot of you know, backstabbing kind of work going on underneath the facade of the organization. The second idea that came to my head had to do with the treaty article from summer camp, and it again involved Enmir, but this time it was Enmir and three other city-states that had suffered similar fates during the God War, or the Great Strife, as I call it. And the treaty was actually a mutual protection agreement among those four city-states, which happened, by the way, to ring a major body of water that controls trade to large interior portions of Cartyrion. And this treaty, not only did it provide them for mutual protection, because one of the things that all four of them had decided after the God War, and after the kingdom that they had belonged to, like I said, had literally abandoned them, they had decided that never again were they going to be beholden to some king living far away. They were all going to kind of stay on their own, but they realized that each one individually wouldn't last that way. But if the four of them banded together, they could. And they did. So again, now we have a much more traditional alliance. The four cities, they still kind of compete, of course, for certain trade things, but the alliance has grown into not just a military alliance, but also a trade management alliance. So that was a real possibility as well. But I didn't know that I want to spend that much time dealing with the politics of that area. It wasn't going to fit in long term to my plans for the world. So I kept thinking about other possibilities, and I finally came up with one. Half a world away. I'm going to bring up a map right now just to show you what I'm talking about. Here is a map of the world of Cartyrion. Let me get it out from under the little chat window there. There we go. All of the stuff that I've been talking about, here's Enmir, all right here. All of this is the main region that I've been developing over here. But way over here, in the kingdom that I was talking about, the kingdom that had actually once owned Enmir, Seagate, Seaguard, and Icefell, is this kingdom that's ringed in blue here. All right, and again, during the God War, they retracted back a lot of territory to defend themselves and so forth, and they still haven't fully recovered. The other borders here are primarily human kingdoms, but what came to my mind as an idea for this article, I had already started putting in my mind some thoughts about what was going to go on in this area here. All right, we have this nice bay that I call Wolf's Bay. We have a few settlements ringing it, and we have a quote-unquote kingdom lined around it. Now, there's a few important things around here. This big mountain here is the first of the major dwarven delves, and probably the most largely populated single dwarven settlement on the world. We've got this little desert action here. We've got swamps and marshes out over this way. We have a nice region to the north where we get cold. There's lots of access to lots of fun stuff here. And what I was planning on was there being some sort of pirate kingdom nestled in here somewhere. So what I'm thinking now instead, now that I'm actually starting to think about this world, what I'm thinking is that blue zone, although it will nominally have a name of a kingdom, and there will nominally be a king. In reality, the king is going to actually have very little effective power, and that region is going to be on the ground a whole bunch of essentially independent or at least autonomous smaller fiefdoms. Some of them might be larger than others. Some of them might be little more than a region around a major town. But each one kind of operates on their own, and as long as they don't get too uppity with their neighbors or with whatever, everybody kind of leaves each other alone. But in addition to that, there's going to be a bunch of settlements along the coast, and in each of those there will have sprung up a lot of trade, and in several of those there will have sprung up some groups of, let us say, groups of seafarers who have decided that there's more than one way to make money at sea. You don't necessarily have to negotiate for the cargo on land and then bring it somewhere else and give it to somebody else. You might be able to simply acquire that cargo because of some unfortunate accident at sea involving another ship. Let's leave it at that for now. Yes, I'm talking pirates. Privateers, as they like to call themselves, though. So what I'm actually thinking of doing for my alliance is, and I'm going to bring up a small notepad thing here that I'm setting up. I'm going to set up the Wolf's Bay Free Traders League. And the Wolf's Bay Free Traders League is going to consist of, it's going to basically be an alliance and an agreement among the major players in that region. And as I started to say, the League is a loose organization of the 5 privateer fleets and 4 major mercenary companies that operate out of the Wolf's Bay region. They have realized that at least some level of cooperation is needed to keep them all from killing each other. There is more profit to be made by working, at least not working, against each other, if not completely with each other. So that's my basic premise here. So now I start to think, since this is a long-term challenge, there's going to have to be a lot of thought that goes into it. I started to think, okay, what am I going to need in order to define this challenge? All right, and I'm starting to take notes here about the things that I need. This is my planning, my planning process. All right, so geography-wise, all right, I know roughly what the kingdom looks like. I mean, besides, of course, needing a map. I should put that in here. Yeah. Need a region map. All right, so I'll get to play with some maps. That's always fun. I'm going to need to define more than just the couple of major cities that I currently have named and tagged. There needs to be more settlements than that around the coast and some inland as well. All right, and then we'll see where that takes us once the region map is up. We'll go from there as well. As far as the membership in the league membership, what I envision is 5 privateer company. You want to call them companies or fleets or whatever, but each one of them is more than just a single ship. So these are, I mean, if I had been using the term pirate lords, but even pirate lords wasn't quite right, because there's not really there's not a firm, there's not a firm ingrained system for defining a royalty among the pirates. The pirate, these are 5 major, and by the way, there's a lot of independents besides these guys. But these 5 major guys, or these 5 major companies, each one of them is going to be a fleet of several ships. Each of those ships has a captain. So within each privateer company, there's already another organization, because those ship captains get together and decide what are we going to do and how are we going to do it. Among themselves, they might select a spokesperson or two. But what I actually envision for the Alliance, when the Alliance meets, and I'm going to get all these notes down again. There would be 3 representatives, each of the 9 constituent companies. How they pick those 3, one would be a spokesperson. That's funny. I could see that move over to my other screen. You guys couldn't. All right. So that's So when the Alliance get together, what I almost envision here is something based on the American Continental Congress in 1774 to 1776. Where each of the colonies did send 3 representatives to the Continental Congress. As they were the ones that were hashing out our Declaration of Independence, there weren't always agreements within a delegation. And there were times when within a delegation there would be infighting and all kinds of things. Some of them were pretty unified and some of them were not. And that's kind of the model I see here. There may very well be times when a constituent company is only really voting 2 out of 3 in order to take some action or not take some action. So there's always going to be some tensions at 2 levels in this alliance. All right, so I've got that. So going back down again. So for each of those privateer companies, I'm going to need to, for each of those 5 fleets of privateers, I'm going to need to identify as major NPCs, at least at a token level, who the captains are. And now we're talking the individual ship captains, who their spokespersons and who their seconds are, or whatever. What delegation would they send to the Alliance? All right, because I want to be able to actually name all of the 27 members that are people that get together when this Free Traders League calls a meeting. So I'm going to need that. I'm going to need to do some simple layout about what the capabilities and specialties of each of these 5 companies is. And this goes on again to what the league does or what the organization does. My intention is that those 5 ship captains, the 5 major ones, will have somehow carved up the world among themselves, and possibly not on a permanent basis, because there's going to be different opportunities for raiding and pillaging in different parts of this world because of the way it's set up. Any pirates that work this area, for example, there's probably lots of riches, but there's also a lot of danger threat, because there's lots of cities that are going to not want to have pirates plying their waters. Somebody working this region, you're kind of close to home. There's probably going to be a lot of good trade, from all of these people coming in and out here. Trade is starting to open up even out in this direction, although there aren't any major settlements along this coast yet. This is a time when there are settlements developing all along here, so there's going to be trade going back and forth, and there might even be rather lucrative trade going back and forth. The other really, really rich area for trade and plunder is this area up here, but in order to get there, these guys have to sail all the way around this way, and then come in across there. So lots of riches, very far from home. This is half a world away. All right, this would be like a Caribbean pirate fleet working the Malaysian waters. Very much like that. In fact, you have a nasty strait to have to come through here. I'm sure the weather here isn't going to be great. So you have to kind of go around Cape Horn and then through vast amounts of ocean just to get to where your raiding zone is. So rather than have one of the companies relegated to having to do that all the time, what I was actually thinking is one of the things that the league would do is maybe every 5 years or so juggle who gets what pieces. And they would kind of manage, the league. One of the league's responsibilities would be to manage that. And then among the league, all of the various players have an understanding. They don't attack each other. They don't interfere with each other and so forth. If they're traveling through somebody else's target zone, even if they have a good opportunity, perhaps there's rules for whether or not they take a good opportunity. They wouldn't steal a kill from somebody else, but so there's going to be some gentlemanly agreements involved here. In addition to the 5 privateer companies, though, I also decided to throw in, and again, this is because of the geography. All right, I also decided to throw in 4 large mercenary companies. They would be more land-based. These guys would sell themselves out, perhaps, to some of these other kingdoms for local petty fights or arguments or wars, or possibly even, among anybody to, kind of support colonization efforts in some of these, lesser populated areas of the world. There's lots of those. So there would be plenty of opportunity for ground mercenary forces as well. And this has kind of become a home for at least 4 major ones. So I need to define those companies. I need to define their structures and specialties and all of that kind of good stuff. All right, so I have a lot of setup work to get the constituent members of my alliance going. And as I do that, again, there will be rivalries among these. So I'm already starting to think about an interesting web, a relationship web among these guys, and how they also fit with the outside world. Because certain ones are going to be, known to target certain areas or work for certain areas and that sort of thing. So that's the kind of setup work that I've started to lay out. And now it's time for me to, as I go through this, I think the rest of my ideas will start to take root. So I've been talking nonstop for half an hour. Let me jump back in the chat. Isaac mostly chatted with you. Well, Isaac was chatting with us for 2 hours, during the main part of her stream too, or their stream. Sorry, I'm having pronoun problems today. Oh, after summer camp craziness, and it's dipping down afterwards. Streamers are back up. It is hard to find a free spot. Yeah, Sunday is busy, which is amazing. I'm surprised Sunday is busier than Saturday, but that's okay. There's a hail hydrate, and Isaac, you're still with us. Good. So this is the article general layout that I'm gonna go for. The layout is the organization template, but this is my plan behind it. And let me talk about my further plans beyond the challenge. What I'm going to do ultimately is develop this region as a campaign area for my campaign world, and my idea for that region is that starting level adventurers would sign on to a ship, as part of a crew, as part of the crew of one of these privateers, or join one of the mercenary companies if they want to do more land-based work. And from there, for initially they'll be part of an organization that kind of tells them what to do, but as they develop fame, their own fame and prowess, they would of course rise through the ranks. And if you took the naval route, you would have the opportunity to become, at least one member of your party would have the opportunity to become a ship's captain, and now you have your own ship and you can go wherever you want. You could choose to step out of the alliance at that point, and step out of the league and just completely go it alone. So I think there's a lot of interesting play opportunities that don't often get explored in a basic D&D or Pathfinder type setting. And even on the mercenary side, again, for the first few levels, it kind of solves the railroad problem in an interesting way. Yes, you're getting railroaded, but that's part of the story. You're being told you're going over here to do XYZ. But again, as adventurers with special talents and skills, rather than just being part of the grunt soldiery, you're probably going to be a special team that the mercenary company assigns tasks to go and do certain things or investigate certain things. So I think there's again a lot of interesting story hook capabilities. This part of the world will have seen a lot of action in the God War, so there's going to be a lot of opportunity for ancient ruins to explore. By the way, this mountain right here, actually, when I finalize this map, that mountain won't be there. That mountain was one of the major dwarven settlements, but in the God War, not only was the settlement destroyed, but the mountain above it was destroyed. And now, it's 2,000 years later, and now, although there are memories that there was a dwarven delve somewhere in this region, signs of it, at least on the surface, are pretty much gone. Now, of course, I say pretty much. Of course, there's going to be some telltale signs, because it is my intention to turn that into, at some point, a nice mega dungeon. Because, I mean, we're literally talking an underground dwarven city that has, that had its mountain collapse on it. So definitely some interesting opportunities, I think, for dungeon delving there. But not only there. I mean, all of these other kingdoms. All right, there's no other real alliances. Everybody has little petty fights or whatever. We're definitely talking Europe in the 1,000 to 1,500 range here. There's always some kind of border squabbles going on, or trade fights, or this or that. So there's plenty of opportunity for mercenaries, plenty of opportunity for privateers on the seas. At the same time, again, there is some colonization and expansion and exploration going on, or re-exploration, I should say, going on, in big chunks of the world as well. So there's always going to be a lot of interest and wonder going on there. So that's my plan. Like I said, I like to try to turn these challenges into, if they don't right away fit into the region I'm working on right now heavily, then I at least want them to have some purpose other than just a summer camp or a challenge article. And this one, I think, is going to turn out to be a wonderful opportunity for me to get a baseline down on a whole nother major gaming area. And that'll give me 3, because although this one is going to be very similar to the second one, and I might end up merging them in my mind. That's another thought. Cliffport and this area up here was where I planned on doing another. I had already given a lot of thought to doing a sea-based adventuring campaign package. The Seafarer Dwarves, they don't just live in Cliffport, although Cliffport is one of their major places. There will be Seafarer Dwarves in here. At least one of those ship captains, if not whole companies, will be Seafarer Dwarves. So there'll be an opportunity. I really expect this to be a ragtag mix of, the cities around here are going to be seedy. There's going to be all kinds of creatures and people, and and mix and match populations in the settlements. It's going to definitely be an interesting, far removed from these small frontier village settlements, that are in the piece of world that I'm building now. This end of the world is going to definitely be a little grittier and dingier, and we'll see how it goes from there. So has everybody else given any thought or come up with what they're going to be working on? I'd like to hear some ideas from everybody else. Dazzlecat, yes, like connected through the Underdark. Yes, I can't use the word Underdark, by the way. Neither can you. Not if you're publishing, because Underdark is a copyrighted term from Wizards of the Coast. There are other words for it, so I'm not too worried about that. But Makara, let's see. Makara says, sounds real nice. So let me jump back up. A bit of distortion. Yeah, if I talk real loud, I manage to pop it over into the yellow, and as soon as I do, it goes. I'm going to still be playing. I at least can see my targets. I got to make sure I'm not overdriving it somewhere along the way. I find the best way to avoid the distortion is to not max out the gain on any. There's like 3 or 4 different things that contribute to the total level, and if any one of them is maxed out, I end up with distortion along the way. So I still have to play with that. And things that were working beautifully in the old system aren't working the same here because it's slightly different hardware. Let's see, maybe they merge below ground. Yeah. There could be all kinds. I mean, there's underground everywhere here. I mean, there definitely is an the equivalent of an Underdark, which I haven't even really started to explore yet. But it's there. I connected through the Underdark, yeah. Let's see, I'm doing a secret team-up of 3 secret organizations in Synagogue. Yeah, I noticed that, Makaro. I was actually very excited about that. Makaro is actually building his alliance article in Synergasia. So there's another reason for somebody to join us in the Synergasia effort. If one of these challenges pops up and it doesn't quite fit your world, Synergasia is a place where you might make it happen. Focused on technological advancement, currently at the stage they're prepping a large-scale expedition to other lands. Yeah, well, all right. Well, you can do all the prepping you want, but we'll have to think about how that works mechanically. In the setup once we go. But again, prepping is something you can certainly do in your region. Siobhan, late raid, lol. Yeah, I guess you kind of zoned out there. You should get to sleep. My large alliance article explained the hate between the Sea Elves, Sahagin, and Fire Giants. That was Dazzlecat, or will explain. So you're also doing? Are you also doing yours in Synergasia, Daz? Isaac, ooh, excellent. The idea they're near it, so yeah, leaving room for and again, I'm not discouraging the crossovers, but the crossovers is something that you'll have to work out with whoever it is you're next to. Now, we might put you next to 2 empty zones, and if that's the case, then we can probably let you spill into those extra zones. All right, so again, we have a lot more regions than we have people. We don't want to give them all away right away, but we could probably make some adjustments or exceptions for something like that. So Makaro, let us know. Just think about it a little bit, and if you think you're going to want interaction with other regions as a key part of your writing story, then again, we may be in a position to either have a couple extra regions defined that maybe we'll throw some parameters in and let you go with it from there, or we'll work something out. All right. So again, we're not trying. I don't want to discourage anybody in any way about what they want to do in Synergasia, but at the same time, we do want to make sure that we keep the regions autonomous, and that we don't have because person A is doing something that person B has to do something to respond to it. We don't want to do that. Collaboration, go for it, but we don't want interference. Let's put it that way. Yeah, that's a good idea too, Makaro. Yeah, get the scene set. I expect, especially with all the stuff that's coming on between now and the end of the year, if you folks can have your general world or your general region laid out, you know where the cities are, you know who the major players are, you know who the gods are, you know how magic works, all of that really, really basic, almost primer stuff. If you guys can get that done by the end of the year, you'll be in real good shape. I do not see us putting out, super heavy prompts during World Ember. We might put out one or two, but even during World Ember, I don't know that we're going to stick with the one a week that we were talking about. We will at least for the rest of September, October. November, we'll probably do it, but NaNoWriMo is going on again, so there might be a lot of people not focusing on Synergasia. And again, our intention is not to compete, certainly not with the World Anvil event, nor even with NaNoWriMo. So we'll kind of make adjustments to make sure we're not competing, and we also don't want to be seen as throwing extra burden on top of you. Those of you with recent university experience know the joys of already having a ton of homework, and then you make the mistake of showing up for one more class, and oh, by the way, get this done too. We don't want to be that instructor. So are prompts competing with World Ember? I don't know. They may not be. I mean, we might decide that actually putting out extra prompts in World Ember helps World Ember, and if that's the case, that's what we'll do. So I don't know exactly how that works. Makara, you can't hear me at all? Oh, team meeting. Okay. You worried me there for a second. Yeah, I mean, if it turns out that more prompts is better for World Ember, then we'll keep doing them. I don't want to be, and neither does Kahuna, we do not want to be seen, again, as interfering with or competing with, especially World Anvil. If our efforts can help World Anvil, then so much the better. So we'll have to work with that, But what I was getting at was if you folks would have by the end of the year all of your primer work done, all of your basic layout and description and setup work done for your settings in Synergasia by year end, I think that would actually be a wonderful goal for all of you to do, and we will throw out a lot of prompts between now and then to help with that. And again, the first few are still going to be very, very basic. I mean, not quite as basic as what's the magic, but but they also won't be quite as intricate as some of the summer camp prompts have been, at least not yet. We'll get there. All right, but right now, it's there's a few basic things that you're going to want to need to define. And since this isn't a world that's been forming in your head, well, in some cases it has been for some folks. If this is not a world that's been forming in your head for a long time and you have a lot of notes on it, the early prompts are going to basically be designed to help you get enough physical world down on paper to be able to then start exploring a little more the interesting stories that will be going on in that world. So that's the hope and plan there. All right. Anyway, I promised sprints. So is there anybody out there up for some sprints, or do you want to just chat? Dazzly Cat still got religion to do after the Alliance prompt. Sprints is good. Cool with either sprints or chatting. Let's try to get at least one science schoolwork sprint. Okay, let's try to get at least one sprint in. If nothing else, it'll let me try out. Again, I'm still testing out all my overlays and everything on my new on my new system or screen here. One of the things that's going to happen when I start the timer is the timer's going to pop up. This is not the same timer that I've usually used. What should also happen at the same time is the music level should go up and my voice level should go down. I'm not turning it off entirely, but it will go down. And the little clock will pop up. I haven't figured out yet. I might still have to play around with different timers, but I have a really, really good end of stream sound file to play, but this particular timer doesn't play it. The good news is, though, for the first time ever, I will actually be able to see when the timer ends without having to pop something else up on the screen. So what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to start going into the organization template and start to see, at least make some notes in some of the millions of sections here. I want to, one of the things I normally do with all these templates anyway is go in and fill in a lot of the bits and pieces just to see what the article is going to look like. I start thinking layout right from the beginning. So I will probably be doing that for 10 minutes and at least putting some general notes down where I know them. And let's get started. Let's give it a shot. All right, and we will do a sprint in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Please, I would like you to confirm that my sound level is down and the music level is up. If somebody could just put a quick note in the chat telling me that that's working. Alright, looks good. Okay, good. Yeah, the timer's up and the levels. Yeah, I can see the timer and I can see the levels. I just want to make sure they're okay for you guys to hear too. Excellent. Yeah, I know Tiller's Snaz plays a sound. I was using Snaz. This timer is one that's built into Stream Elements. So I need to just look at it a little more and see if I can make it play a sound, or if I need to just pick up somebody else's, or go back to Snaz. I could go back to Snaz too. That's always an option. Right now, everything on that screen is Screen Elements. Stream Elements rather. So I kept it simple for the beginning. All right, off to my sprint. Public agenda. Not sure what, but there will be something here. Going to be a lot more stuff here. Definitely need something here. What is that that's popping up there without a heading? The motto. Aha. Kingdom. Yeah, so one of the challenges that I'm having is deciding, obviously the generic stuff will work, and there will be some other things filled in here that I don't have. There will be a geographic location. I haven't defined it yet. I don't know that there's going to need to be related ethnicities because it's going to be a little bit of everybody. The organization structure, culture. These guys are all going to be figure big. In addition to those, neighboring people, that might be interesting. Recognized official languages. The official currency is plunder. There kind of is an organizational body. I don't know that I would call it legislative or judicial. Yeah, maybe both. Maybe I will include those. Maybe. Maybe something like that too. I'm not going to like the heading titles for those. Foreign relations might be interesting. This is not an official state religion, so I don't think I need to worry about that. Maybe and the time is up on the screen. So let us go back to the live screen. How did people do on the sprint? Anybody? Anybody do any counts? I'm not even going to check my counts because I wasn't really working. I was filling in bits. Okay, nobody sprinted, right? Is that the plan here? Dazik had lots of thinking, just started typing when time ended. Note taken from 2 and bits of paragraphs of your sign. Oh, that's right. You're doing a homework sprint. Isaac, 111 words. Yes. Is that homework, by the way, or World Anvil stuff? No words done. Tiller's fiddling. Yeah, by the way, Tillers, I hope you're going to be on stream Thursday. Thursday, I'm going to be going back to doing NPCs and things like that. So, by the way, everybody I talk to agrees that it is absolutely wonderful, especially when a new character sheet gets brought out, and we start to use them on the streams. Having the person who can jump in and fix the little teeny niggly bugs on the fly, like you've been doing for me a couple of times now, actually. Besides being immediately helpful, it definitely helps everyone else, and I want to thank you for all the effort and work that you do in getting those the character sheets and stat blocks and things up and running. Macaro, we made a crocodile with Post-its. Okay. Okay, pictures. We want pictures. Is Kahuna Quiet still a thing? Did he take it off the list again today? He took it off yesterday, but yesterday was a U.S. holiday. So he didn't need to do Kahuna. Normally he does Kahuna Quiet because his wife is teaching on the other side of the green screen. So let me look real quick and see, is he on? Did he cancel today too? If he canceled today, I'm going to get worried. What am I looking for? This is what I'm looking for. Where'd it go? No, he still has it on the calendar for today. He might not be starting right on time, but at least it's still on the calendar. I mean, he actively got out of the system and took off yesterday, and he took off Kahuna Reads. So I'm hoping he'll be up and running. It's 8:30 in the morning for him right now, so it's still get the coffee done time. But he had it running pretty much on and off all last week. He's been getting late starts, so And again, he's not he's doing that as a service, especially in between streams. So if there is somebody up, like like I'm up right now, he doesn't feel it imperative that he gets Kahuna Quiet started right away. So I won't worry about it until he starts missing, major gaps or whatever. In a half an hour, we'll see what's going on. Isaac, 8 a.m. Yeah, he's West Coast. It is 11:24 a.m. for me right now. It is 8:24 a.m. for him. I'm on the East Coast of the U.S. Morning people never understand. Well, when you have a dog and a cat who expect to be fed at 7 a.m. every morning on the dot, well, let out for the dog and fed for the cat, then you get used to these things. So anyway, has anybody noticed these little things that Dimmy put in, by the way? I mean, in summer camp, one of the big questions with all of these templates, and I have to see which other ones they're done for yet, but the big question with all the templates was, where were these things gonna show up? Especially the little ones, like when you got to some of these, I mean, you kind of figured they were going to the sidebar, but you weren't sure. Has anybody else noticed the little icon over here that tells you where it's going? I'm hoping that this is also a precursor, especially something like official currency. He gave a big section, but it's sidebar. I'm hoping this is a precursor, and Dimmy kind of hinted at it, a precursor to being able to actually decide where to put things. Would be wonderful. I know people have asked for it, and I know Dimmy mentioned that it's something that's on his list. But I don't know how hard or easy it'll be or when it'll happen. But there's sometimes some of these things, like official currency. All right, you might have a one-word answer for this, and in which case putting it on the sidebar is exactly where you want it to go. On the other hand, you might have 3 paragraphs on this, depending on your world. And if it's 3 paragraphs, you probably want it in the main body and not in the sidebar. So in the long run, it would be wonderful to be able to change where things go. But the fact that it just tells you right now is very helpful. Legislative body is sidebar placement. That's interesting, because that, again, these things, that tells me that even though this is a big block of text, probably shouldn't plan on it being a wall of text, because that'll look really ugly in the sidebar. In fact, if we do a quick preview now, let's see what's here. Yeah, major imports, plunder. All right, so yeah, the legislature. So what we might want to do, in fact, is, I like to think of the sidebar as almost like a mini stat block. If somebody wants to do quick reference on after having read an article, if the sidebar could help with that, it's either one of two things. It's either and if you take Wikipedia as an example, when you first go into Wikipedia, if you look up a country, they have a sidebar where they list what the capital is, what you call the people, what their language is, what their demographics are. It's all the numbers and tables. That's one use for the sidebar here. The other use for the sidebar is a mini article, that has to do with the main article, but doesn't really fit in the flow of the main article. And in fact, that's probably why he has the sidebar top and bottom sections set up, so that you can do both kinds. But if legislative body and judicial body are going to show up in the sidebar over here, then what I'd probably do here is just put little tiny mentions of them. And if I want to explain them further, I'll have to explain them further somewhere over here in the body. All right, so I can get into the more detail in the body, and then just over here have a quick mention that this is what they call their group, and this is how it works. you know. But again, knowing this in advance gives me ability to plan how this would work. Dazzlicate, yes, animals are relentless alarm clocks. Yeah, the little icon, have they been in for a while? And they're not on every article or in every field yet. Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't noticed them until today, so I don't know when they popped in or not. Dragon Love Water, that would be nice. I do find some sections end up in an order I'm not shuffling. Yeah, well, that's the next step, is the ability to drag and drop the whole chunks and move them around. And related to that is the ability to control what the headings say. Because sometimes, first of all, sometimes the headings don't actually, the heading that shows up in the article isn't exactly the same as the one that shows up in the editor. And second of all, sometimes the wording, in an attempt to be generic, gets too generic, and I want to call a heading something else, you know, other than what it wants, you know, and I'd love to be able to do that. But these are, you know, now we're starting to get into, although the heading change was probably something more doable. But again, I mean, Timmy's got more than a plate full. He'll get to everything when we can go. Yeah, drag and drop would be wonderful for, if I could come in here and grab, you know, like grab this or just grab this block and say I want to slide that up above the other one and move them around. That would be wonderful. But like I said, I would also maybe like to be able to change, instead of legislative body, or, you know, just as an example, or here, demography and population. It's just it's the wrong phrase for what I would do here. You know, the intent is there, but, you know, it just might not be quite right. I don't know, exports. What is it? What is a pirate what is a pirate kingdom export? Terror? Fear. That goes on the sidebar too, right under imports, right? I'm guessing that's going to go right under imports, right? Major exports, fear. Major imports, plunder. There we go. That looks good. I might leave those. Okay, so got a lot of work to do. Fortunately, we have a long time to do them. As I said, what I will need to first start doing is at least stubbing out these articles. But before I stub them out, what I'm going to probably want to do is give them names. Is give, for example, the ship names and the captain's names. I'm envisioning, by the way, 2 to 5 ships in each of these 5 fleets. Again, there could be some that are bigger, you know, some groups that are bigger than others. Let's see, what else do we have here? I guess they also sell all the stuff they plundered and have no use for. Yeah, true. They may export mercenary work as well. Well, they certainly do. The mercenaries, you know, they're for hire out. So special services, I guess would you call it? By the way, these guys will also make some money on like protection rackets and things. If you're a major trading company in a kingdom not too far away and you don't want to be bothered by the pirates, then you simply pay them and they leave you alone. You know, so, you know, there are other ways besides actual combat to for the privateers to make their money, especially since it is a government organization. And in fact, that sort of thing could end up seeming as an alliance. as a trade agreement. You're you can run your ships through our territory, and we won't take you over. We won't wipe you out if you give us X amount of gold a year, or whatever it is. Not unprecedented. And not at all unbelievable. Slaves also, if they don't recruit them, yeah, that's a possibility. Who knows? In fact, inside the bay, we might, in addition to the big sailing ships, there might actually be an ore-based fleet for moving around inside the bay. That would also require a fair number of engine components, shall we say. I'm behind on my coffee intake this morning, and that is never a good thing. All right, so anyway, my plan is, again, over the next couple of days or weeks to flesh out who the ships are and what the companies are called, and I want to give names to all of these things at the very least. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on them, just a lot of names, naming type things, which I can use to create article stubs, which I can use to populate organizational webs. If you think about it, I have an interesting web thing building up here, because each of these fleets is an organization. Each of these companies is an organization. They are military organizations, but they're organizations. So then the alliance itself becomes an organization. That alliance has a place within the feudal or somewhat feudal kingdom out of which it operates, and that kingdom and the alliance and the league have interactions with all kinds of other creatures or organizational structures, nations, trading companies, etc. beyond. So I mean, I could end up with a vast, complex relationship web out of all of this if I wanted to. So we'll have to see how far I go with that. It'll all be article stubs initially, but again, those article stubs will eventually grow into, at the very least, a definition of a new campaign playing environment in this neck of the woods. So, Dragon Lovewater, if you remember correctly, pirates didn't usually bother with slaves because they had too much upkeep. Spices and gold, you just need to make sure it doesn't get wet. Slaves need to eat and drink. Yep, that's true. Some of the pirates, historically, some of the pirates would quote unquote free the slaves and let the slaves take the ship back. Some of the pirates just didn't care, and if they happened, most of them didn't bother with slave ships. If they could tell it was a slave ship, they just kind of left it alone. Some of them, like I said, would plunder the ship and not care about the slaves, and if the ship was left unable to function, so be it. I think there was a wide and varied relationship between pirates and slavers. You got to remember too. A lot of the pirate ships, though, a lot of the ships, especially in the earlier days. I mean, there came a time when ships were special fit for especially for the slave trade. They were specially rigged. But just like today, if you own a truck, if you drive a semi, or whether you're a private owner or a fleet owner or a corporate owner, deadheading, as we call it here, is very expensive. And deadheading means you load up the truck, You take things from point A to point B, you unload at point B, and you come back empty. All right, that coming back empty, the driver gets a salary, the truck needs its fuel, it needs its upkeep and maintenance, it's getting miles put on it, but it's not making you any money when it's empty. There was a fair amount in you know of when you go back into the age of sail trading. All right, merchants didn't like to travel empty, so you loaded up with stuff that you were going to take somewhere to sell, but you also had a plan for what you were going to buy there and bring back. And for a long time, the slave trade wasn't much different. Ships would, and they might have been rigged to optimally or fitted below decks optimally for slaves, but there were a lot of ships that they'd load up in Africa, bring the slaves to the Caribbean or the southern United States. Then they would load up with goods and either bring those goods more than likely to a European port or possibly to a Northern American port. And if to a Northern American port, then there would be one more swap of goods. You sell off what you got and buy another load and then bring it someplace else, and then you just do that over and over and over again. And that way your ship is constantly moving, your ship is constantly carrying goods. That it was the way to optimize your profits. But that could make for some very unpleasant kind of thoughts when you think about, what do you put in the hold after it held slaves for 3 months? Let's bring the slave ship into the Caribbean and then load it up with there was tobacco was a big one. Sugarcane was another big one. I mean, one of the traditional ones they teach us all about in school was the slaves to the Caribbean, sugarcane or sugarcane and molasses to the Northern American colonies, and where it was turned into rum, and the rum brought back to England. They always left out of that description, though, whatever it was that the England backed down to pick up more slaves piece of the pie. But then again, that was I was learning my history back when everything was really being sugar coated. And the way to avoid offending minorities was not to ever mention them. So things are different now. Tobacco, cotton, cocoa, not so much not cocoa in the U.S., but possibly. Nothing bad ever happened. Yeah, that's it. Well, that's elementary school. I could understand that. You don't want to shock the little kiddies. But by the time you get out of high school and through college, you should actually have a much better understanding of how things really work in this world, and a less propagandized view of it. But that doesn't always happen. So what do we think? One more sprint? I'm not sure what I'm going to be putting into. I'm not sure what I will do for a sprint. That's the problem. I need to take this, like I said, and I need to start assigning names to all of these things, and then once I have those names and the article stubs, then I can start thinking about how this is all going to work. Dasley, I'll do more science. Down for one more. So yeah, we'll do one more sprint. I'll come up with something to do. I'll find some place to write. And it's not just about me, it's about you guys too. So let's get another sprint done. And we will fire it up in 3, 2, 1, go. this. Why not start? have to go back and fix that one. How does this work? This is the relation. I guess I can do this. Minus 100 to 100. Well, we're going to put all the members at 75. How do the two relation scores work? I'm going to ask that question in a minute when the time is up. I'm going to ask anybody out there with some experience as to what to do with these relation scores. But for now, let's just put in a bunch of these and see what they look like. Do I have to put in a number? I do have to put in a number. So let's just put zeros in because that's in the middle. Why do I have two of these? I don't need two of those. There we go. And time is up. Okay, who can tell me what these numbers refer to here? Is this literally just like an opinion score? Like the Free Traders League really likes League Fleet 1, but League Fleet 1 is on the league. Okay, so it is really it's a bi-directional opinion poll. That's interesting. Um, I'll have to think about that. For now, I can leave them all at zeros. Diplomacy histograms. So what is this going to look like? I guess we should find out, right? Use the diplomacy widget to display histograms for you. Use diplomacy tag name here. What is... So is this the... Alright, so let's see what this does. Okay. Alright, puts them all around it. Now what happens when I start defining relationships between the fleets too? How ugly and messy does this get? Has anybody done that? Because each of these is going to have a feeling about the other as well. Okay, so if I click on the fleet, it'll show up. Oh, that's got a yellow line. That's why I can't see it. Okay. All right. Some of these colors are that highlight that pale, that green or yellow line is hard to see here. That looks like it'll be interesting. And where do these images come from? Is that, I assume is that the cover image from the articles, or is that was there a place to put a flag in the article? I didn't see one. Oh, yes, there is. Okay. Organization flag crest. Well, you know what? Let's test one. Let me see. Do I have anything in my library that would work as a flag? There's one. Just for giggles. Let's see what happens. So that's the Feywood Ranger Captain. I just want to see what this is going to look like. It did say type an image name from the library. There it goes. Alright, so now let's see what it looks like. That obviously isn't going to stay there, but Yep, okay. Good. So that's how that'll work. So, speaking of flags, I know, Isaac, you were talking about flags in yours. I'm going to have a whole bunch of flags, and crests, and symbols, and logos to come up with to make this thing look pretty. I'm also going to need to come up with 27 NPCs, at least 9 or 10, I should say at least 10 flags and or banners and or icons. So there's going to be a bunch of art in my future, whether I like it or not. So yeah, I could flag them all as fleet. Basically, I'm probably going to use similar components for a lot of them, you know. But I'll have some fun playing with those. I've got time. We have until the end of we have until the beginning of October to get these articles done. And looking at the clock, it is time. So I have managed. Kahuna the Elder is live. There we go. That answers the question. So Kahuna Quiet is up. But so is Toblin, and that's who we will be raiding. So, having said that, I want to thank everybody for coming today. I don't think I left anything unsaved. If anybody is doing any work, please make sure you saved whatever it is you're doing. Oh no, did I just do something terrible? No, that's okay, that's right. That was that. Oh, but did I just lose the crest because I had 2 copies of this article up? Let's find out. No, it was smart enough to keep the right one. Good. Okay. So with that, everything else is done here. I would like to thank everybody. Look, guys, I actually have an outro screen now. Isn't that wonderful? I think you're still hearing me. Yes, you are still hearing me. So, thank you everybody for coming. On Thursday, we'll be back. Either working on more of this article or some of the adventure-related stuff that I need to get done. Either way, though, there will be sprint opportunities. There will be lots of opportunities for other people to get some work done. And for now, let us head off into a raid. Raid CD10 Toblin. Actually, before we start the raid, everybody that needs to go into your channel points right now and steal from me the icon, the choose an emote. You will find my raid emote there. That raid emote is essentially my raid call. It features a nice trampling dinosaur with the word raid. You can't miss it. So everybody run in and grab your copy for 300 dino tracks. And with that, let us get the raid started. Here we go, Isaac. Yeah, Isaac, well, you get it anyway because you're one of my subscribers. So, okay, raid will be now, and thank you all again, and let's get going.